Okay, back on the project. I placed the motor back in there. There is, well, it's supposed to be. I gotta get another bolt for it. Right here is a rubber mount. This is what mounts the frame. And there's 4 bolts that go in there. Of course, one on each side or whatever. And there's, these bolts were missing. I had to put in, and this is what mounts the motor to, I guess, the mounting tray, I would call it. And the mounting tray mounts in here with bolts with the rubber bushings. Got a ground here for the mounting tray. Excuse that wire. Now, according to the plate, which I can't find right now, but there's a plate on here for the engine model. It tells me it's a 17 horse. But this thing must have some serious torque because it's a 17 horse, but it's the largest 17 horse motor I've ever seen for a riding mower. Okay, so we've got coils, which is actually kind of ridiculous because it's got 2 really large coils, 1 per cylinder here, spark plugs. Here's my exhaust ports, 1 here and 1 here, my intake and my crankcase breather. Now this system is kind of interesting because I imagine, or what I figured, is that this is gear-driven points. I've taken this off and I looked inside, and there's gears on the inside here that eventually all runs down to the crank, which keeps everything nice and in line. And that's what tells by a ground. Come on up here, a ground that tells the coil to fire. Here's your hot, which is a consistent hot. So that will probably run off straight to a battery, and the ground I'll probably have intermittently ran to a switch somewhere in get a panel of some sort, but run it to a switch so I can kill my engine by spark, which I believe is the easiest and quickest way to do it. Now this is the pulley system that I was talking about. Back here, if you can see it, is a pulley that runs the belt for the pump. Okay. Also, it has these 2 here for the belt that runs to the deck, and the PTO cable engages this disc. Right now it's free, and when the PTO cable is locked in, which of course I've got adjusted to get it to lock in right, then it mates here, engaging this wheel to the rest of the crank, which is it's a neat system. So since I'm not going to be running a deck anymore, the objective is, and I got to figure out where it's going to live, because I do have a belt that runs right here, but I'm attempting to find a way to put a 1-wire alternator onto it. The mower itself does have a charging system. However, I'm not very fond of the original charging systems on mowers. I don't know about anybody else, but I've had a lot of issues with it. Not to mention, if you've ever got to fix it for whatever reason, you've got to come all the way down here, which you can't see. It's where the flywheel is for it, and it generates power off the flywheel. Well, so if you've ever got to change that out or fix it or do any maintenance to it or anything of that nature, you basically have got to tear down half or damn near the whole motor to be able to do so. Personally, I would rather not do that. Not to mention this battery here, I'm going to relocate. Now, where I'm going to go with it, I haven't decided yet. I've kind of come to a better understanding and idea. The fuel tank, now this is funny, when I got this unit, this fuel tank was, see the hole on the hood, was mounted like so on top of the hood. Now, there's only one reason why somebody would do that. And I'm going to say the original mechanical fuel pump, because it is a mechanical fuel pump, probably gave out. And instead of fixing it the right way and putting a new mechanical fuel pump in there or so on, they just ran the gas tank higher and had it gravity feed into the motor. I'm not going to do that anymore. So we're going to put it back here where it belongs. It's supposed to be back in here, and get it all nice and reinstalled. And then I think down in here I'm going to put an electric fuel pump to run from the fuel tank all the way up to the motor. And for several reasons. One, it's a super easy system. You just simply run your ground to the body somewhere, wherever a good grounding point would be, which on this one would be the frame. And then from there, you just run a power cord up to some kind of switch box and have an on-off switch. So I will have not one but two ways to kill the motor if need be. I can kill the coil, and if for some reason that doesn't work, I can cut the fuel. And then that should work. Between the two of them, there's no way you're going to get the motor started without knowing the fact that it's got a electric fuel pump and a coil switch. And I'm not doing it for security purposes. I'm just trying to make the process easier. If anything were to go wrong, it's a lot easier to track down, rather than having several combinations of things on one switch or things of that nature. I just run individual switches to everything and run everything independently. And if I do that, then if something goes wrong, it'd be super easy to track down, or a lot more easier to track down, because there would be less things on individual systems rather than several things on one system. So it will eliminate a lot of that problems, or make it a lot easier to track down. I think what I've come to realize is that this unit here, I'm not going to remove it at all. I'm just going to leave it exactly the way it is, but I will probably pull these lines off and have that cycle the pump. And the main reason is being how it's all mounted in there. And to be honest with you, I don't physically need to remove it. So what I'll end up doing is this pump, the valve switch, or the valve for the hydraulics to run this hydraulic piston here, I'll just remove this altogether and then run my lines to whatever it is that I want to do. I'm still thoroughly thinking about extending the back half, and essentially the way I'm thinking about doing it is either on the bottom side or even the top side. Maybe I'll probably have to add some washers to the other mounting post here, but just add a custom made plate to the two of these, come back, come down, and build me a little box here. And what I'm considering is putting a rather large, I don't know if this is going to stay or not. I want to keep it because it's actually pretty cool. It's kind of nice. Might have to extend this out. But I'm going to put a rather large hydraulic reservoir in here. Not as big as I can get it, really. And then I may have a battery just sit right on the back half here. Now, the original fender well system, seat/fender well, goes like such. So, get your fuel neck here. That's your reservoir or your dipstick for your hydraulics. So I could put, give or take, a reservoir here, and it doesn't have to go down very far, probably 2-3 gallon. Building another mounting bracket on top of that with the probably a spigot of some sort that comes out one side or the other, it doesn't matter, to be able to fill the reservoir. And then mount a battery, a full carb battery, right there.